Welcome to The Point of View. We are still in the football mood. This show is your favorite current affairs show on television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. Ghana has qualified for its 4th World Cup. It was a dramatic qualification, and the show tonight continues. On Monday, we asked whether Ghana could qualify in our second leg, and my panel was very confident that we would qualify. Tonight, I have a different panel to look back into what happened and also look forward into Qatar. It's going to be very exciting indeed. Send us your thoughts. We're live. We'll read some of them as well as we look forward to the Mundial, which is in a few months. Stay with us. Welcome back. So tonight we're talking football. We're talking the 5 African teams that have qualified for Qatar 22. We're also looking at the Black Stars and what they did against the Super Eagles. But it's been a very eventful week because in the past 3 days, the E-Levy was passed. Indeed, it was passed on the president's birthday, the same day as the Black Stars took on the Super Eagles in Abuja. We had the away goals rule push us through to win. Today, the president delivered the State of the Nation address in the morning and then met with the Black Stars later in the day. He met the team, congratulated them, and obviously rewarded them for their performance. So we're mixing a lot of things tonight. We'll give you some excerpts of what happened when the president met the team. We'll tell you which players got the loudest cheers when they were introduced. We'll give you some insights into what Coach Otto Addo thinks about his technical team and the task ahead. But also speak to insiders who've been with the team throughout. So in studio, I have the head of communications of the GFAs, in the person of Henry Asantichum. Good evening, Henry. Great to have you.
Good evening, Bernard. Pleasure to be here.
It's good to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys are walking shoulders high now.
Yes, on the evidence of what happened, coming off that debacle in Cameroon, at least now there is a major relief.
Fantastic. Yeah. We also have on the line, he's now in Ghana, my reporter who was in Abuja, Daniel Cranting. He had predicted actually that we're going to draw the game, just that he didn't predict the right goal scorer. He predicted Jordan Ayew was going to score. I predicted Thomas Partey. But I also promised that when we qualified, he will get a raise. So Daniel is very eager to join the show. Daniel, good evening.
Good evening, Bernard.
But you need to admit that we need to share the increase 50-50 because you got the score line right and I got the goal scorer right. So if for nothing at all, we should share that money.
Bernard, if we were in court, I'll beat you because the agreement was if Ghana will qualify. The agreement wasn't based on the scoreline. But you give me the money when we finish the return negotiate.
Okay. So when I see you tomorrow, I'll do the needful. Thank you for joining us. We'll also be joined at some point by Fatau Dauda. He was the goalkeeper in our last World Cup appearance in 2014. Really good goalkeeper. These days he's with Legon Cities. But we know Fatau Dauda for his very interesting celebration. For those of you who remember 2013, when we were at AFCON, he would have this very interesting, I don't know whether it was a smile or his face into the camera, which was very interesting indeed. Fatau would join us to talk not just about the tournament, but also about the goalkeeping department, because a lot of people think our best player over the 2 legs was Jojo Olakot. And a lot of people, particularly in the media, chastise the decision of bringing Jojo Olakot. They says somebody who plays in Swindon Town, a League 2 team, should not be playing a national team. And it turns out he's become probably our best player over the 2 legs. So I'll ask Fatau about the goalkeeping department, what that means, and the kind of confidence a performance like this would bring. And then hopefully, the Minister of Sports now, he's been at the Jubilee House since afternoon. They're actually in another meeting with the president. We are hoping to get him before the show ends. But I want to take you quickly to the Jubilee House and show you, first and foremost, what Coach Otto Addo said, if you permit me, Henry. Because I thought Otto Addo's speech was very gracious. He acknowledged his predecessors. He acknowledged his technical team, acknowledged the players, and also set the scene for the task ahead. This is Otto Addo after President Kurt introduced him to His Excellency the President.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Mr. Excellency. Thank you, Mr. Kreku, for your kind words. A little bit too much, I think, but it's okay. I take it. I won't make it long. I think enough is said. Surely everybody's happy. We qualified for the World Cup. This was our aim. And we're looking forward for it. I won't take long. I would like to, the staff, not the coaches, the staff please to stand up. So this is the staff, the medical department. The medical department, video analyzer, and Ricky, okay. First of all, I would like to thank you, Mr. Excellency, for the invitation. It's a great honor for us to be here. For me, it's even, very, very special. More special than the game yesterday because we were not really prepared, or I'm not really prepared. Thank you very much, Mr. Kreku, for your kind words. A little bit too much, I think, but it's okay. I take it. I won't make it long. I think enough is said. Surely everybody's happy. We qualified for the World Cup. This was our aim. And we're looking forward for it. These were only 2 games, but there was a long path before ahead. And Citi Agrono is part of this success, and as well as Milovan Rajovac. And of course, our captain, Andre Ayew, and several players missing today. It's very, very important for us, I think, that we acknowledge that, and we have them in our thoughts. Thank you very much again for the invitation, and wish you all a nice afternoon.
So that was a short version. He introduced his technical team. He introduced the guys who helped him behind the scenes. He introduced the team. I looked at Kurt, the president, looking at him very interestingly. Was Otto Addo the choice of the government or the FA? Because there was some uncertainty about whether Milo was going to be sacked. So we'll just give us some quick insight into how we got Otto Addo to become our coach.
Okay, thank you, Bernard. In summary, I would say that he was a first choice candidate for the Football Association following the dismissal of Milovan Rajovac. You know, Milovan's dismissal took a while because the norm is that after every competition you need to wait for the coach to submit his report. If there are medical issues, the medical department, in this case led by Dr. Adam Baba, must also submit their report, and then the management committee also needed to submit their report. So it is based on these 3 reports that a decision would be reached, or whether the coach should be maintained or sacked would actually be agreed upon. So it took about 1 week, 4 days before the Executive Council convened, and that in that meeting there was a unanimous decision that based on the technical, medical and management report, the contract with the coach needed to be cancelled. At that time, the ministry had already issued a statement and made government's position clear. So it was as if the ministry showed the way by putting pressure on the Football Association, but that wasn't the case. The appointing authority is the Executive Council, and they also have the powers to dismiss. So until they convey a meeting, no decision.
But the ministry sort of forced your hand by announcing that they did not want Milo to be maintained.
Well, to put it blunt, I can say that there was a meeting between the ESCO and then the ministry, which was chaired by the minister. They asked the FA to submit a report, which indeed we made it known to the ministry. In that meeting, the minister mentioned that the taxpayer is not satisfied with the work of the coach, and for that matter, the taxpayer wants him sacked, and it was explicit. So it was non-negotiable.
So that made the FA's work easier.
So that probably then once the employer, either indirect employer, because it's the state that pays the coach, the indirect employer says we are not satisfied and so you needed to take a decision, then the Executive Council went into what accounted for the team's failure in Cameroon. The coach was partially responsible. The medical team were not certain about certain decisions. The management team also took a bit of the blame, for which reason the technical team was dissolved, the management team was dissolved, and then the medical team was reassembled.
I see.
Yeah.
So, as you said, Coach, Milo's performance was not satisfactory to anybody.
It was not. I mean, even though some members of the Executive Council at the time felt he needed time to settle, to know his players, and to understand the way of behavior and reaction of these players. Others were also of the belief that there is no time because we had only 6 weeks to the playoffs. And so if we needed to take a decision, it had to be done now and not wait until another disaster. So there were some arguments and discussions with certain factors considered. Eventually, they took that bold decision to sever the ties.
Did you? Sorry, I'm not overstretching this, but I just wanted to know. So, was there like a choice between Otto Addo, George Boateng, Chris Hughton, and then you decided to just compromise and bring all of them together? Was that what happened, or
no?
How did you get all the 4?
Well, so the FA's choice was Mr. Otto Addo.
The FA's choice?
Yes.
Ab initio?
Yes. And it was
after interviews, or you headhunted him?
It was for one reason. The reason was that we didn't have time.
Okay.
Once you bring in a new coach, new environment, new culture, he's not going to watch videos, get to understand the players' behavior, and we did not have time. We're going into a game against a team that has been together for 2 years, and have excelled, and have been to 4 World Cup continuously, and still had some of their old players in their setup. So there was no time. So we were racing against time. So the decision was that Otto Addo, out of the 6 matches we played in the qualifiers, featured in 4 as an assistant coach.
Okay.
He was an assistant when we beat Zimbabwe in Cape Coast,
Zimbabwe
in Harare, Ethiopia in Johannesburg, South Africa in Cape Coast. So the executive council thought he had foreknowledge of the team. He wouldn't struggle to fit in. He has built a certain relationship and chemistry with the players. Okay. In fact, even when Milo was around, whenever there was a problem in terms of who to run to and who to feel at home and feel easy around, the players always fell on Otto. So the FA's choice was Otto, but there was a challenge, and that challenge was Borussia Dortmund, for which reason the FA president, the vice, Tony Buffo, and then the technical director flew to Germany to go and engage.
Borussia Dortmund didn't want to release him.
They didn't, because he is a key member of their technical team. And
this is their first team.
Yes, and aside the first team, Otto's role is like he features in all the technical chain of Borussia Dortmund, from U17 to the senior team. He plays a role across board.
So they didn't want to release him?
They didn't want to release him at all. And so
to be a full-time head coach of Ghana,
not
even though
not
he was assisting,
even not in an interim capacity.
But he was assisting. He was part of the team for Milo.
Yes.
So why would they say?
The initial agreement was that whenever there is an international break, they will release him to come and play. And right after that game, he comes back to Germany.
But not to become full-time head coach.
No, AFCON was not part of the discussion, and is the reason why we did not see him.
So what did you tell Dortmund to allow them to give him to us?
So the president and the team that went to Germany engaged the leadership of Borussia Dortmund, made them understand that having considered all the factors available, we thought he is the right candidate at this moment. So we needed them to at least release him for the 2 matches, which also falls within the FIFA international break. And then after that meeting, it dragged for about 2 hours. After that meeting, the leadership of Dortmund decided to engage Otto, and he was straight to the point that it is an opportunity he would love to grab. So you couldn't stand in his way. You couldn't.
So he made it clear to Dortmund he wanted to do this. But he didn't want to leave Dortmund.
That will be the second phase of the discussion.
Okay.
The first phase of the discussion is to bring him down for him to play the 2 matches, after which a reason would
be established.
Will be established. And then we take a firm decision going forward. And so that discussion of bringing him on board in a full-time capacity did not come up at all. It was whether Otto was interested in the interim job
for the 2 games.
For the 2 games, or he's not at all. Once he says he's not, then it means there is no discussion. Wow. But as soon as he made it clear to Dortmund that it is an opportunity he wants to grab, that he can't turn his back on his nation, then it opened the door for us to discuss things further. So back and forth, we reached an agreement, and Otto then took the job.
Who brought Chris Hughton into the mix?
Now, the president met, interestingly, the FA president met Chris Hughton on the very day he was traveling to Germany to meet Otto. They met at the airport, the hotel at the airport.
Holiday Inn?
No.
Yes, Marriott.
Yeah, Marriott.
Marriott.
Yes, they spoke briefly for about 25 minutes. And Chris Hughton made it known to the president that he is available. If it is that they are looking for a coach for the Black Stars in future, he is currently available.
For a coach or for
job.
technical support?
For a coach.
Oh, okay.
The discussion was for a coach. Now, in his reply, the president made it known to him that the Executive Council, which is the appointing authority of the FA, had taken a decision at the time, for which reason he was flying to Germany. So at that moment, he couldn't change the decision.
So at that moment, the slot of
Council.
head coach of Black Stars was not available to Hughton.
It was not available to anybody, even though Otto was in the picture.
I get it.
But until he comes in, it was open.
I see.
So Chris, yes, said, okay, fine. He is available whenever there is a chance he would like to come back to Ghana and get that opportunity. So the president left. There was another meeting between Chris and the vice president. And then when the president flew back from Germany to Ghana, they met again. But in that final decision-making process, on that day, the ESCO stuck to their gun and said, if Otto has agreed to come on board, then it is what it is.
Which means there were some people who thought that Chris Hughton, being a more experienced person, should probably be given the head coach.
Mean, those things normally happen. It is discussed, factors considered here and there, but the majority obviously carries the vote. So they decided to make Otto the head coach. Then the issue of assistant coaches came in. They looked at a number of options, and then George Boateng's name came up. Didi Dramani's name came up. They also had a majority decision of the Executive Council. Then,
so George Boateng and Didi Dramani were not chosen by Otto. It was the FA that chose them and said, these are your assistant coaches.
The FA settled on the two, but with the approval of...
Yes, so as I'm saying, it's not like Jogging Club brings his two people.
No.
So you said, these are the guys we have.
Yes.
What do you think?
And he approved.
So he liked George Boateng,
yes.
who played for Holland.
And Aston Villa.
Yes, and he was Dutch Ghanaian.
Yeah.
And then Didi Dramani, we all know.
Fully blown Ghanaian.
Good. So who then decided that Chris Hughton should be the technical director?
Okay, so it's...
Or technical advisor.
Technical advisor. It came up in the discussion. The president informed the Executive Council about the meetings he had with Otto. With Chris.
With Chris.
He also brought in the vice president to brief the Executive Council as regards separate meetings he also had with Chris. But, I mean, this is how it happened. The president then informed the Executive Council that we have Chris, who is experienced, who is exposed, he is available, he's not tied to any club, and he is daring to serve us.
And he has Ghanaian roots.
So if it is that we are putting a team together, and it is going to be a team for the 2 matches, let's consider bringing him on board as well to tap into his expertise and his experience. He received an overwhelming majority. The meeting took about five minutes break because they needed to, inform Chris about the decision of the Executive Council. When the information went to him, he also asked for a few minutes to speak with his managers and his lawyers. It took about 20-30 minutes for him to come back. And he came back with that good news that he has accepted to come on board in that capacity as technical advisor, where he will contribute to the decisions of the 3 men and also advise as regards tactics, technical decisions, player selection, and so forth.
So far, you've said a good story. I'll come back to you on the chemistry between them. The fact that 3 of them seem to have dual sort of heritage. Chris Hughton, Ghanaian British, Otto Addo, German Ghanaian, George Boateng, Dutch Ghanaian. Whether that was a deliberate agenda because of the potential teams we are going to meet, whether you think we'll meet England or Germany or Holland or whatever, and also the role of Didi Dramani. But I want to turn my attention to a few other things. So I've been joined also by Fatal Dauda, And Fatal is one of our goalkeepers for the past few years. I want to show you quickly, though, the video of some intros. So when they were being introduced to the president, who are the guys shouting? Was it the supporters union or
supporters union were at the right side
at the main entrance?
Yes, and then I think at the back were some staff members of the
Jubilee House.
Yes.
So viewers, here are some of the Black Stars players introducing themselves to the president. So, thank you, Mr. President. My name is Benadavle. I play for Hovo or whatever. Then people will shout. Here are a few of them. I want to use that to ask a question.
Thomas Partey, Arsenal and Ghana Blasters.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Yaya Columbus Crew.
Thank you, Mr. President. Christopher Entfier J. VfL Bochum.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kwesi Ochre Wright, Hoshanki.
Thank you, Mr. President. Elisha Osu Kaagant.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joseph Pinto, KRC Gang.
Thank you, Mr. President. Alexander Djikou, Strasbourg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Abdelmoumin, Victoria.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mohamed Kudus, FC Ajax.
Thank you, Mr. President. Abdul Manaf Nouruddin, CAS European.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joseph Eju, Celta Vigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Lawrence Atizigi, FC Sengal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Edmond Ado, FC Sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Gideon Mensah, FC Bordeaux.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joseph Olacott, Swindon Town.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jordan Ayew, Crystal Palace.
Thank you, Mr. President. Idrisu Baba Mohammed from Africa. Thank you, Mr. President.
So I think you heard the three loudest. Listening, Mohamed Kudus, Jojo Olacott, and Jordan Ayew. And for of Partey. And Partey being the captain on the day. Let me talk to Fatal Dauda. Fatal, good evening. Thanks for joining us on the show. Okay, we'll come back to Fatal. Maybe we'll take a short break and do that. Because I thought the Olacott story was interesting. Yeah. Somebody from the third tier of English football, fourth tier actually, League
Premier,
2.
Championship, League 1, League 2.
So League 2, so fourth tier of English football, chastised a lot, comes in and becomes a savior. Fatal Dauda is on. Fatal, good evening. Can you hear me? Not sure if you can. Hello, Fatal
Dauda.
Dauda.
Please.
Fatal, good evening.
Hello, I can hear you.
How are you doing?
Good evening, bro. I'm okay, I'm fine. How are you too?
I'm great. What do you make of the team's performance in qualifying for the World Cup?
Well, I think I would like to congratulate them for the qualification, because it wasn't easy. We started this campaign since before they got to where they got yesterday, and they were able to eliminate not just a country, but a neighboring country, Nigeria, which is very tough. I think they did well, and kudos to the coach. He was able to, make a team to face this Nigeria. And then I think it's a great opportunity for these boys. Playing the World Cup sometimes it's just once in a lifetime. Sometimes you may have lucky to play twice or even thrice. So I think it's a good opportunity for them to play in the World Cup. And they've made the country proud. I think, for me, the love is coming back from what I saw in Kumasi. The supporters came out in their numbers to support this team to do well. They nearly even beat Nigeria. But I like the way they couldn't concede a goal before going to the second leg, which is very important. You know, if you are playing such a game in a two-leg, playing goalless draw is better than playing 1-1 draw. So I think they had a good result, although they couldn't win, and they went there to, score first, which made the game difficult for Nigerians to come back. So I think the guys did well. They did well. They did.
What do you make of Jojo Wollacott's performance?
Well, I know definitely you asked me about this department, because it's my department. I've been saying since I saw this, the first day I saw this boy, I told my boss who has been training me, Kujo Ado Lion, I told him, Lion, how do you do this boy? He said, no, I wanted to ask you. Technically, Ghanaians, we are good when it comes to football. But technique, sometimes we are not ready to learn the technique. This boy got everything. He's a complete goalkeeper. He can play against pressure. He did that in Kumasi, and he went to Nigeria in 60,000 capacity to do that. He did well. He has a technique that makes me a very good goalkeeper. And the most important thing in goalkeeping is technique. If you have technique, you can't be a good goalkeeper. Because in everything you need to use the technique. If you are catching the ball with the hand, if you are playing with the feet, if you are fixing, if you are punching, if you are parrying, we have a technique to do all that. And this boy has that. I think he has a future. We should forget about what he's playing. It's about the technique. It's about him doing well. You know, I was a local goalkeeper when I played for the Blasters. It doesn't mean where you play. It's about how you can fit in the team and do well for the nation. He has a technique. He did well for the nation. He did well for himself. And then now he's going to the World Cup. So there's future ahead of him. And
he was criticized a lot in the media because he was in the 40 of English football. What effect does that have on a keeper? Do you think that influenced his good performance in wanting to prove something, or could that rather annoy him and make him not feel like playing for the team? What does that kind of criticism do to a goalkeeper's confidence?
No, I think he kept his focus. That's the most important thing. If you are doing well and people are praising you, you don't have to listen. You need to keep focus. If you are doing wrong and people are criticizing you, you don't have to listen. You need to keep focus. Keeping focus makes everything easy. You know, I was very happy he wasn't in Ghana, but definitely you have people who will be telling what is going in the country about people criticizing him. But I think he's a strong guy. He understands the goalkeeping, so he just kept his focus. And then now, his name has been mentioned in the country for what he's done for Ghana himself yesterday.
Just my final question. Now we've qualified for the World Cup. Some people will say we have so many players in Europe. Let's expand the net and bring some of the others in, including those who may even be potentially playing for other countries. As a player in the national team, what does that do to your confidence? If, for example, we go and bring some players who did not play with us in the qualifiers, but they are playing in good leagues, how should that be managed so that it does not destroy the team?
Well, I think now the team has qualified, but it will be the coach's choice how you want to approach the tournament, how you want to approach each game. I know Friday the draw will come and we'll know our opponent. So from there, the coaches and then the backroom staff will start preparing towards these games. Definitely, there will be some players beef up the squad. Definitely, they should be. And I think if you are a player, either playing locally or outside, I think players will start doing well for their club so that they can play in the World Cup, because playing in the World Cup is very big opportunity for each player, for every player. So I think definitely there will be some players that will beef up. For now, I think they have done well. By close of today, they will forget about the celebration to focus what is ahead, because what happened in 2014, we went to the World Cup. I think Ghanaians expected us to do well. We didn't do well. So this time, I think they would like to do well. So for now, I think the concentration has to start from now. The enjoyment will stop by close of today, and then from tomorrow going, the focus will be on how to do well when they go to the World Cup. So I think definitely the coaches, the technical team will bring in some players to beef up the squad.
Thank you, Fatal. Keep doing what you do. Thanks for talking to us. That was Fatal Dauda, Legon City's Black Stars, Ghana International. This is the point of view. Tonight is a sports night. Henry Santichum is here. We'll do a conversation with Daniel Cranting as well, hopefully the minister as well. What are your thoughts? We've qualified for the World Cup. And what does this mean? We have a very sound technical team. Are we going to keep them? Will there be a mix? The president gave a hint. Ghana president, that he wants the technical team maintained. Is that the FA's mind? We'll come back with all of that. Stay with us. Welcome back. Tonight is a night of the Black Stars. We've qualified for Qatar 2022. We are getting you the inside story. Henry Santichum, who is the head of communication of FA, has given us some very important insights into how Otto Addo was chosen, the negotiation with Dortmund, the agreement for 2 days, George Boateng and Masoud Idramani is being brought on board, and of course, Chris Hughton, and whether the four of them will be kept together. But let me talk to Daniel Cranting. Daniel was in Abuja. He described earlier on radio to me today how scary the moment was. Daniel, let's just come back if you're still there. Let's talk first about the official, because I heard President Kett complain to Ghana's president that he hadn't seen a hostile atmosphere like he saw in Abuja in his football life, and that he thought the officiating was very poor in terms of the bias. Sitting where you sat in the press stand, what can you say about the officiating and some of the things that happened in the second leg?
Bernard, I 100% agree with the President Kett. Look, it wasn't the best. And yes, we understand that the situation was a bit hostile. It was a home nation, Nigeria, 60,000 capacity stadium playing. But you expect a referee of that repute to be able to handle that sort of pressure. But it looked like, and I kid you not, it's not because I'm Ghanaian, there's no bias in this. It looked like every single 50-50 ball went the Nigerians' way. And in the opening 10-15 minutes, it looked like the Black Stars players realized it, and it started getting to them because they were very frustrated. You go into a tackle, it seems like Ghana has won the ball, and then we hear the whistle, we are wondering what has happened, and it's a free kick against Ghana. And the more you whistle in favor of the Nigerian players, and the more the crowd grew more in support, and it looked like it was back against the one moment for the Black Stars. So for me, it wasn't the best. Officiating wasn't the best. It could have been way better. I think the officiating in Kumasi was way better. It was much more fair. Clear fouls that were supposed to go Ghana's way were given. Clear fouls that were supposed to go Nigeria's way was given. But in Abuja, it was a completely different story.
What changed it? Because you said the players were getting frustrated. Did the coach send any signal to them not to get overboard, or how were they able to contain this and not get too many yellow cards and things?
I credit the leadership of some people at least from where I was sitting, guys like Jordan Ayew and Thomas Partey, especially Jordan Ayew. You could tell him, or you could see him visibly telling the players to calm down. Especially in the first half, when pressure was on Ghana, it looked like some players were going in for some rash tackles. And the referee was beginning to frustrate them. You could tell he was asking them to just keep the ball to them. And if you saw the sort of performance he put up, anytime he got the ball, he draws a foul, slows down. And then he gets up and he tells everybody to calm down. And so I feel Pichu had the experience to be able to ride that wave of the referees and the officials' frustration. It helped the younger guys on the pitch to be able to cope with it.
I see. So you described earlier today as well the situation with the fans after the game. Did you actually feel your life was in danger?
Initially, no. Initially, because when the thing started, it was just a couple of people who had jumped over the barricade. So we were just filming and we thought it was fine. Then a couple of minutes later, we started hearing people asking where the Ghanaians were. That's when at that point, personally, I thought that we might be in some serious trouble here. And then there was two colleague journalists, Oluwashila from BBC and a colleague journalist in Nigeria, JFM, DG. They quickly signaled to us that first of all we should be quiet, and then we were sort of hiding behind the.
Okay, so when this was happening, Daniel, this thing I'm showing now, when it was happening, were you in the stands at this time, or you were already in the tunnel?
No, we're in the stands.
At this point, you were in the stands.
Smoke cans. Yes, when the smoke cans were thrown in first, we were still in the stands.
Wow.
But as we were still trying to make our way into the tunnel. But when the technical area of the Nigerians were turned over, by that time we had entered the tunnel. We were in a room adjacent to the technical room. But some fans had infiltrated that section. So we were, our Nigerian friends and colleague journalists asked us to stay in that room for things to calm down before we came out.
Henry, were you there?
I think at this point, all of us were in the dressing room.
You were in the dressing room?
Yeah. So we're watching these pictures on the screens in the dressing room.
What did you make of all of that?
I think it's barbaric. It doesn't speak all of us. It's like they just don't understand why Ghana should qualify at the expense of Nigeria. It didn't look good. When I think 5 minutes after the final whistle, I saw all our players on the pitch jubilating. Mm-hmm. Then I personally rushed onto the pitch to bring all of them together. That was when I nearly had an altercation with one of the Nigerian players. He was down, head buried down, crying. Then I tapped him and wished him well for the future. I don't know how he took it. I think he took it differently and rushed on me. He wanted to punch me. So that was then I told all the players to come together for us to stand in the middle. Fortunately, the head of security, who was appointed by CAF, had then come onto the pitch. So he gave us certain guidelines not to disperse, but we should all stay together somewhere in the center of the pitch. So he started bringing us forward as the policemen, separated the crowd. So as soon as he gave the green light, we all rushed into the tunnel at the same time. At that time, they had started hurling stones and bottles and anything
we are told they allowed what we call in Ghana free gate.
Yes.
So these were not people with tickets.
I was personally surprised to see the stadium filled to capacity, because during the technical meeting, the match commissioner who came from Sierra Leone is the general secretary of the Sierra Leonean Football Association. He was a match commissioner. He made mention of the fact that FIFA had only granted them permission to admit 39,000. So, but the rest is left with FIFA. I'm sure they will sanction them, whatever it is, I don't know. But it was made known to the home team and the away team officials that only 39,000 spectators must be granted access to the pitch. Now, at the time we arrived at the stadium, there was a bit of misunderstanding about who has the right to go to the dressing room. The police did. There was miscommunication. Even our High Commissioner to Nigeria was assaulted to some extent. Really? But they found a way to settle the issue.
Do we know if the death of the Zambian doping official is related to what happened?
I can't tell for a fact, but what I know is that the man came to knock on our dressing room door. He came to call Alexander Jiku.
Oh, you saw him?
Yes. We saw him. Myself, the team doctor, and the physio walked him through our gate or our door to
pick one exit, of the players to do the doping test.
Normally they pick the player randomly.
Yes.
Then they take his urine sample and they use it for the doping test. In Kumasi, I think it was Atizigi and then Ademola Lukman of Nigeria. They just pick the players randomly. Now, when he left our dressing room, Jiku, myself, and the physio and the team doctor were following him. That was when he started going off. So he went off right in our presence.
Wow.
They rushed him into the ambulance trying to resuscitate him.
But you don't know if he had gone through anything.
We don't know if he had gone through anything, if he was assaulted, if he was beaten, blah, blah, blah. The statement from CAF says it was heart failure or heart attack whatsoever. But I don't know what happened before.
So even if he finished the GQ test?
It didn't happen. It didn't take place.
He died or he was sent to
He went off in our presence. We didn't even exit.
This was within the presence of the...
It was within that space. You know, when you exit the away dressing room, you walk through a corridor for about 2 minutes before you get to the exit point. Wow. So it was just about the time we got to that exit point when the man collapsed.
Wow.
So he just went off. So the test didn't happen.
I'm trying to get his name. Daniel Kranti, if you are there, I don't know if you know the name of this Zambian official. Your colleague journalist...
He's a doctor.
Yes. Your colleague journalist, I think... the Atapoku,
yes.
he was quite clear that
his tweet that
this was because of the manhandling. Did you see Atapoku at any point? Daniel, if you are still there. Hello, Daniel.
No, Bernard, I didn't see him at Atapoku. I understand he was sitting with the Ghana fans on the other side. I was in the press stand with a couple of other journalists, and we started, but. I understand he was sitting on the other side with the Ghana fans. So I didn't see him at the stadium.
I see. So that's all you can say. So the images we are showing were taken by our journalists, right?
Yeah.
This was the images you guys took of.
Yes.
I see. So at what point did you leave the stadium? After how many hours from the game's ending did you leave the stadium?
I left the stadium at 11:30 p.m.
That's
11:30 p.m.
When did the game end?
That's about 3 hours or so.
3 hours after the game?
3 hours after the game. Yeah.
Wow.
We left the stadium around that time, 11:30.
Okay. So the doctor has got Dr. Joseph Kabungo, who later on Lucia Bualia would tweet and talk about his life. Now, let's talk about what's next, right? We are all happy we've qualified, all right? The president of Ghana made a statement. He sort of said, let's keep this technical team. Is it because, from what you said to me earlier, this team was put together for 2 games and that you were going to review their performance after 2 games? So Otto Addo's permission from Dortmund is for 2 games.
Yeah.
In fact, I've heard people say Otto will do 2 games and then Chris Hughton will take over irrespective of the outcome. So,
there is no such decision.
So explain to me what's going on, why the president of Ghana had to sort of urge the FA to maintain the team as it is, the technical team.
Well, I think the president is very much impressed. We gave him detailed briefing as regards the workings of the 4-member technical team. Let's not forget that Richard Kingston is also a license holder, and so he's part of the technical team as the goalkeepers trainer. These 4 men have distinguished themselves over the period. Within the last 6 weeks, they've been working very, very hard. Now, the Football Association took a decision not to make public certain meetings they held physically and also over Zoom calls. But they were always in meetings, watching videos, taking decisions, looking at players, looking at strength of the opponent, coming up with ideas, how to approach games, and so forth and so on. So, yes, I think that whatever the president said is based on what he saw before the games. Look, Bernard, you should be in the teams come to witness the number of hours they spend behind laptops and big screens looking at videos. Analyzing opponents. Even looking at their own players, the strength and weaknesses of our own players.
You are talking about the technical team.
Yes.
So the coach is 2 assistants, the technical advisor, the goalkeeping coach.
Absolutely.
And we have a video analyst as well.
We have, 2 video analysts. Even Otto is also a video analyst. He is.
So is it the FA's decision that this technical team will be maintained as it is?
No, not as we speak. The decision as of 10th February 2022 was to put the 4 coaches in an interim capacity. After which their performance will be reviewed and a proper decision about the forward march of the technical direction would now be, discussed. So as we speak, their job is done. Otto, Chris Hughton, Didi, George Boateng, their job is done. Now the Executive Council need to come back together and look at what went into our success against Nigeria and look at the way forward.
But it's very clear to all of us.
But until then, yes, I mean...
Why are you wasting time? Why don't you just... I mean, for example, Algeria's coach resigned on the park after the 2-1. Some people... Why are we making this... Why are we being long?
Okay, Bernard, it is simple. The reason is that if you want to engage George Boateng, you need to speak to Aston Villa. If you want to engage...
what work does he do at Aston Villa?
He's the U19 coach.
And a 19 coach?
Of Aston Villa, yes. If you want to engage Didi Dramani permanently, you need to speak to Right to Dream and Norgeland in Denmark.
What work does he do there?
He is a youth and talent developer.
So that's his full-time job?
Yes.
So same with Dortmund?
Yes.
But only Chris Hughton is not...
So it's only Chris Hughton who is not attached. So you cannot play 2 matches where you have an understanding with their employers only for them to hear that you have gone public to announce.
So you need to speak to their employers.
You need to speak to their employers, have a proper agreement with them whether they will release them for the World Cup or not. And if yes, how do you go about it? If no, who then comes in? All these things needs to be considered. Without that, it will be difficult for us to go public.
But you know that the 4 are all interested in the job.
Yes, they love to serve their nation. I mean, these are people who have shown beyond doubt that given the opportunity, they would love to serve their nation. But we need to respect agreements. We need to respect legal issues as well.
I understand. I'm just trying to get the person's mind. So you feel the 4 of them all are happy. You just need to do the right thing.
Yeah. Follow the process and do the right thing.
But I can also guess that the FA would prefer for all 4 to stay if everything goes through.
I communicate the decision of the Executive Council. At this point, no decision has been made.
So you don't communicate their intentions, communicate their decisions. But you can say the FA is happy with their performance.
Absolutely.
Absolutely happy.
Without a doubt, yes.
Did we bring them in because we wanted to bring in some of the Ghanaians of other heritage? Because 3 of them, as I said, Dutch, German, British heritage or...
Well...
And we know we have Callum Hudson-Odoi, we have Tariq Lamptey. We have quite, in fact, the team you introduced, quite a number of them.
Yeah.
This guy, Odoi.
Dennis Odoi.
There are a couple of 2 or 3 German guys there.
Kwesi Cherith.
Yeah, and even Jojo Wallacott.
Yeah.
So, did you bring these guys because your strategy includes bringing in some of these Ghanaian...
Well, aside the decision that I gave earlier, the next point of call was that we needed to assemble the best materials available to us. And we felt they had the exposure. We felt they have the experience. We also felt at this moment, these are the men to take us to the promised land.
But does that material include the best football player materials? Because if, for example, if Callum Hudson-Odoi is available to you, is that part of...
Yeah, it could. And a typical example is Afena, Jan.
Mm-hmm.
Otto flew to Italy twice to meet Mourinho. And finally met AS Roma in Vitesse, where they had gone to play in the UEFA Conference League. And that was when the coach decided that it is time, let me release the boy. Because the coach had always protected the boy. He felt he's young, we don't want to throw him out there. If he doesn't perform, the public will come after him, blah, blah, blah. But Otto was able to convince Jose to release the player. Today, if you ask me, Afena was one of our best performers in the 2 games.
So Otto personally was involved in Afena?
He was personally involved in almost all the...
Because Odoi,
all the new faces we saw in the team.
Odoi, who used to play for Fulham, who is now
Club
I think, Bruges.
Yeah.
Was that Otto's decision as well?
Yes, he played. Yes, he spoke to the player. And the player...
Because the guy has not probably lived in Ghana before.
No, never. It was his first time. But when Otto spoke to him and he agreed, okay, let me put on record that the FA started chasing Denise Odoi about 5 years ago.
Okay.
There were document issues and a few other hitches that made it impossible for him to switch. So when Otto went back to that discussion, the FA needed to push because Otto was always on our heels. He wanted us to
Otto wanted the guy.
Yes, he wanted to get him for these 2 matches. Eventually, FIFA finally responded to our letters. The case, the nationality switch, was referred to the Player Status Committee of FIFA. We needed to prove his nationality, which indeed, once he's got Ghanaian parents, it was quite easier.
So all this administrative...
Yes, administrative.
Are you doing the same? Are you doing the same for Callum Hudson-Odoi?
I don't know, because none of the coaches has made...
What about Tariq Lamptey?
Tariq again, it is the coach's decision. If it is that we wake up tomorrow and the new coach of the Black Stars wants Tariq, Hudson, whoever is available, we look at the regulations and the possibility of getting them. If it is within our reach, we pursue it.
But are they in good? Are they eligible?
The new law for nationality switch is that you should be 2 years farther than from your last game. So it means that if today Hudson played for England 2 years ago, we look at the month he played, and if it's exactly 2 years, he has every right to switch nationality.
And based on your research, he's qualified to play for Ghana in November.
We will see, because the reason
because
why
I know Tariq hasn't played. After Tariq, he hasn't played for the English senior team.
Yes, U21. I think he was even called up last week also. But even Tariq, in 2015, he was given an opportunity with the Black Starlets. Unfortunately, yes, at the under 17 level. Unfortunately, we heard some stories. They didn't pick him. Whether it is true or not, I can't tell.
Will Salisu be called?
Again, it depends on the coach.
Did we try to get him?
We've made overtures about 4 or 5 times.
What did he say?
Siki Akono tried. He wasn't successful. Milovan tried. He wasn't successful. Otto tried, and he still thinks he needs time. So
Otto called him for these 2 games.
Yes, he still thinks so. I think we've gotten to a point where we feel we should rather focus on players who are ready and willing to play than players who are not, who are dragging their feet.
Was Slop ever called
for these games?
Any qualification game?
Slop was called for the game against Ethiopia. The game we won 1-0.
Did he attend?
He went, yes.
He came?
He started the game.
So Slop is available?
Got injured in the 13th minute and was replaced. Yes.
So
in Cape Coast.
So if Slop is called, there's no problem?
It wouldn't be strange, yes.
What about Duncan, Italy?
Duncan has been in and out of the team. Unfortunately, in recent times, we've not seen him in the Black Stars. No one has closed the door. We've always kept a good relationship with Alfred Duncan. Unfortunately, he also told us at some point that he was injured and would need time to heal. He said he had a metal plate in his knee that would require surgery. So, which game was that? I think before we played Zimbabwe, he was in the initial squad, but he later asked that his name is taken out of the list to sort out a few injury issues.
Wow. So, but when will we know your final decision on the technical team?
I'm sure after the draw on Friday, when the president returns from Qatar, there will be a meeting by the Executive Council. Let's not also forget that once the people we requested for have served their duty, you need to go back to the clubs and re-engage them. Until then, I can't tell when. But I know the ESCO will sit. I know there will be meetings between Villa, Norgeland, Dortmund before the next decision will be taken.
Have you set a target for Qatar in terms of where we want to reach?
I think it's too early. We need to know our opponent first of all. We need to consider a few other factors.
We need to look at the path.
We need to look at materials available and all the factors.
So that could determine which players you call?
Yes, mostly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Daniel, let me come to you quickly as we wrap this up. What are your thoughts about the team in terms of the prospects? 2010 was our best performance. At that time, we had a lot of young players. It looks like this team also has a lot of young new players compared to 2014. From a journalistic perspective, what are your expectations for this team?
I'm pretty confident in this team. I saw them at their training session in Kumasi and then in Abuja, except for that. Look, it's encouraging because that desire, that will to win that we used to see in the Black Stars, it looks like it's come back. When you watch their body language, you can see that this group is very hungry. When I watch that over 2 legs, you have massively impressed.
We have, I'm afraid we're having challenges with Daniel's line. Daniel will apologize for that. He came from Nigeria earlier today, so he had to join us from the digital perspective. Thank you. Fatal Dada also joined us earlier with some thoughts on the goalkeeper. Henry Asantuchum, thank you for all the insights. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As leaders, you live and die by your decisions.
Sure.
So we blamed you for the AFCON failure. We have to commend you for the World Cup qualification.
Absolutely.
That's what we do. So well done. And hopefully after Friday we can talk again,
Sure.
depending on which teams we get. But clearly Ghanaians are happy and we have to commend the FA for the good work they've done. Thank you. My name is Ben Adable. Thank you for watching. We could not get the Minister for Sport. We told you that he was in a meeting at the Jubilee House and we got that notice after we had sent out the artwork. But we apologize for not having him. But I'm sure you've learned a few things about the Black Stars. And well, for now, it's go Ghana go. See you at Qatar 2022 and we'll definitely do Ghana proud. The Business Dashboard is next. Stay with Citi TV. Bye-bye.